Before we start the meeting, I'm gonna address council and our staff that when we talk, I've been getting calls that they can't hear us. So please talk on the mic, please, including our staff as well. That includes you too, Jim. Okay, it is 6:04. Call the meeting in order. LT, could you do the pledge of allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Establishing quorum.
Victor Pérez.
Here.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem René Rodríguez.
Here.
Maria Reyes. Here. And Alejandro Garcia.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem, we do have a quorum, and we have several speakers for public comment.
Public comment.
Our first speaker, Rick Avalos. Mr. Avalos, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, city administrators. As mentioned, my name is Rick Avalos. I'm a resident of the Coker area, 11651 Coker to be exact. My home was flooded with 3 to 4 feet of water, depending on where it was in the home. I lost livestock, I lost animals. The majority of the families that are left in my neighborhood lost their way to make money, their livelihood. A lot of them, the water inundated their trucks, the tractors that they had to help clean the neighborhood. Thank God they were able to get the tractors going, and because of the issue regarding the help that we cannot receive, because we're on a private road, because of their heavy equipment, they were able to help us and help the rest of the families, and through neighborhood and through ourselves and neighbors helping each other out, we've cleaned a lot of the mud and water out, and we've helped each other out. I want you to know that, because I don't want you to think that I'm coming here as a victim tonight, and I don't want you to think that I'm here for pity. What I'm here for is for action from the city council. I do want to thank, before I get into that, I do want to thank Mayor Rodriguez and Ms. Rodarte. They met with us the other day. Mr. Rodriguez actually went out to the place and drove around with us to see the damage that's been done. And even though he's not here, I should thank Chuy Reyes for going out there, and the Water Irrigation District, because they helped us immensely with their heavy equipment. And they did work that had never been done before. Very quick history on it. I know I'm limited on time, and I'm going to try to get in as much as I possibly can. There is a misconception that the Coker area is a flood area, that we decided to move, or the families there decided to build in the flood area. That's completely false. The majority of those homes were built in the late 1960s, early 1970s, and it wasn't until 2002 that arroyo began to come down. And it wasn't until 2006 that it flooded homes, and then flooded homes again in 2013, and now in 2017. And within that time period that we did not have major flooding, the water still flowed in front of our house. Again, the neighbors, many of which have now left because of ourselves helping each other out, and us using our own equipment and our own labor, we were able to continue to thrive and survive there. We're not going anywhere, and we're going to continue to work through there. But it is now at a time where in 2013, there was roof rescues. Literally, people stuck on the roofs because of how high the water got. So what I'm asking from the city council tonight is for you to listen to the suggestions that are going to come from you from city management, to take us into consideration. We are a small neighborhood, but we're all productive citizens. We all pay taxes. We're very proud of being from Socorro. And help us. You can help us by listening, by working with the county, by working with the Water Irrigation District. I understand that there has to be interlocal agreements and memorandum of understandings, but I'm asking for you to help in that sense. I understand there's an issue with the private roads, but whatever you can do in working with these other entities, please do so. Lastly, I do want to say,
Mr. Avalos, your time is up.
we have a representative and she wasn't there. I know my time's up. I apologize. Ms. Reyes, we voted for you to speak for us on this council. You're supposed to be our voice. You're supposed to be the one fighting for us. So you're more than welcome to go out there. I'll be waiting. Thank you,
Thank you,
Council
Mr.
members.
Avalos.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Time's up.
Pablo Acosta. Pablo Acosta. Andrés Acosta. Mr. Acosta, you have 3 minutes.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Sigue el caso de los permisos, ¿verdad? ¿El permiso?
No es para comentario público. Lo que les quiero decir al concilio, no estamos en ninguna
Artículo.
artículo y el artículo de lo que ustedes están no va a estar en la Junta de Agosto.
Ok. Buenas tardes, soy Andrés. Pues a referencia de lo que querían que sacáramos las máquinas y todo eso, pues no se me hace justo porque el sábado pasado llovió demasiado y ahorita todavía estamos arreglando el camino con nuestra maquinaria, cosa que si hubiéramos hecho caso, estaríamos trabajando con las uñas. Y pues aquí, como les dijo también Rick Ábalos, que pues somos los que ayudamos allá el camino, entre todos nos ayudamos, ¿verdad? Pues somos vecinos. Y no sé, me hace justo que sigan todavía con eso de que querernos dar multas y todo eso. Es una falta de respeto ya a estas alturas. Y sería todo lo que quiero decir.
Pablo Acosta. Señora Acosta, tiene 3 minutos.
Buenas tardes. Sí, por lo mismo que la ciudad no mete sus máquinas ahí porque dice que somos propiedad privada. Entonces, si no nos ayudan, pues de perdida déjenos ayudarnos nosotros mismos. Todavía de que estamos ahí en un lugar que cae el arroyo y nos llena de arena, todavía nos quieren dar tiquetes porque tenemos ahí nuestros tractores, pues no, pues como que ya bájenle una rayita, ¿no? Nomás eso.
René Ornelas. Mr. Ornelas, you have 3 minutes.
Members of City Council, thank you. I'm here to help if you have any questions on ordinance 414. I'll be here.
Okay. All right. That's number 9.
Yes, that's it.
That's number 9.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray Valdez. Mr. Valdez, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ray Valdez. I am the president of the American Federation of County, State, and Municipal Employees, Local 59. We proudly serve members throughout El Paso County that include the city of Anthony, El Paso County, city of El Paso, Lower Valley Water District, El Paso County Improvement District, Water Improvement District, and various offices within. I'd like to formally introduce ourselves and let Council of Socorro know that we have a great interest in working closely with you in unison, close the gaps that have been left behind as we see a new trend in union activity. I've been president since 2012, and I feel very, very positive about the progress we've made. We like to work closely and removing the stereotype about unions. Before, everybody perceived that unions was an issue about an employee getting in trouble and having to resolve a matter with the employer. It's no longer that. We have a very well-balanced commitment to our membership that involves the family, their work of employment, their place of employment, and what they do. In this case, the city of Socorro has very, 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 very committed employees that serve proudly. Therefore, their families feel a true commitment, a true value for this community. So every decision that is made from this council has significant impact on a family. Should a decision be favorable that represents well what a community has for their families, employees will want to remain fully committed, serve proudly, serve the well-balanced interest of a community, of a council, of an entire county that we all represent here within El Paso. I ask you to please count on us. We are committed. We have strong membership throughout the country, affiliates all over Texas. We have an international office that we're constantly communicating with for the interest not only of our members, but of a community. We teach, we show, we empower our members to understand what their policy manuals are, what their responsibilities are at work with their families, and ultimately teach strong family values that include education, work ethic,
Mr. Valdez, your time is up.
thank you, and importantly, the right to vote. That's what this country's about. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Louis Munoz. Mr. Munoz, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Louis Munoz. I am the political director for the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Union, Local 59, AFL-CIO. And again, I want to mirror what President Ray Valdez has addressed to this council and to the mayor, is that we are here to not only to represent the worker or members, but we're here as a catalyst to reach fair and equitable solutions so that if any issues come up with management, with city council, we're there so that ultimately we can reach a win-win situation. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. And also as a postscript, I want to say that reviewing the videos from past meetings, some of the recordings are very inaudible. If we can possibly contact ITDs to improve the video quality, audio, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, those were all our speakers.
At this time, council, could we move number 18 to the front of the line after consent agenda, please?
Motion made to move item number 18 on the agenda after consent agenda of item number 6.
Second.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos,
Yes.
María Reyes, and Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Consent agenda. Can I have a, yes?
I have a motion to approve with some changes. Could you with these to number? To the minutes, number 5. On the minutes on number 28, we don't have who seconded the motion, and number 36, we don't know who seconded that motion. Could you just write that?
Number 5.
Yeah, 28 and 36. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos,
Yes.
María Reyes, and Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Number 18, discussion and action to take appropriation action regarding an order authorizing the imposition of an additional penalty on delinquent taxes to defray cost of collection for 2017 and subsequent taxes years thereafter in the amount of 20% of the delinquent tax penalty and interest pursuant to section 33.07 and 33.08 and 33.11 of the Texas Code.
Motion to approve for for discussion.
May I have a second?
Second.
For discussion.
Motion is made. Oh, that's right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jose Padilla. I'm one of the attorneys that does your delinquent tax collections on behalf of the law firm of Delgado Costa, Spencer, Linebarger, Perez, et al., et al., et al. I'm not one of them yet, but hopefully I will be one day. Without really going into a long lecture from an attorney about delinquent taxes and collections, I would like to open it up for anybody that might have a question regarding the imposition of a penalty. Just very briefly, you are now currently imposing a collection penalty for collection of delinquent taxes. This item would increase that collection penalty from 15 to 20%, which is the maximum allowed by law. The vast majority of taxing jurisdictions in the county have approved a 20% collection fee, with the exception of the city, and this dates back to some history going back to 2006, and also the University Medical Center are the only two jurisdictions in the county that did not pass a 20% resolution allowing for the increased collections. And so with that, I would open up to any questions that council might have regarding this item.
Anybody have a question? Mr. Perez?
I understood in our discussion just prior to the meeting that I was getting some.
Mr. Perez, could you talk to the
Absolutely,
microphone?
sorry about that. That, just prior to the meeting that we were speaking about the individuals who go into collections oftentimes.
Yes,
That those individuals that truly have a hardship
yes,
in paying or paying their taxes.
yes,
There are systems and protocols in place to help them meet that obligation.
absolutely.
Whereas the other set of individuals that we have been talking about that usually that are in collections
Right,
are those individuals that blatantly disregard
yes.
the payment of the
Yes,
taxes.
sir. And the best way to explain that as to how this would affect is to explain who it doesn't affect. Really, the first category of people that don't get affected on this are gonna be your elderly homeowners and your disabled homeowners, including your disabled veterans. There was a new legislation passed that allows for disabled veterans, even if they're not getting Social Security, to apply for a deferral of collection on taxes. So your elderly and your disabled will not be affected by this penalty at all as long as they own their house and they live in their house. The second category of people that are not affected are gonna be your responsible taxpayers that actually pay their taxes on time before February 1st of the year that they're due. And that accounts for about 97% of your taxpayers. So 97% of your taxpayers are not even have to worry about this collection fee. The third category of your taxpayers are gonna be those that need a little bit more time after February the 1st. They do want or need a little bit more time and they pay about a month or 2 or 3 after they've gone delinquent, they won't see this penalty attached. The fourth category of those are gonna be those that are proactive. Your taxpayers that are proactive, that know I'm not gonna be able to pay my taxes this year, I go down to the tax office, to your tax assessor collector, and works out a payment plan. If they work out a payment plan, which now under Texas law is mandatory if it's on your homestead, and the tax collector gets you your payment plan that you're entitled to, even if your taxes still are due when those are turned over to collections, they're not going to be assessed a collection fee. So now you're really looking at about maybe 1.5% of your taxpayers that are gonna see this penalty increase because and we deal with this day in and day out, they blatantly disregard the 4 or 5 notices that they're gonna get that this penalty is gonna attach. They ignore the situation saying, well, nothing's really gonna happen to me. And so they ignore that situation, or those that are blatantly just refusing to pay because they feel that it's wrong to pay taxes, and we deal with those as well. So those are the 4 categories that this penalty does not affect. The legislative intent of this increase is really for jurisdictions like yourself to make a statement saying that we're going to have less tolerance of people that are refusing to pay their taxes, and we're going to increase this penalty to the maximum allotted by law. And so that is a deterrent effect. The second reason for this increase is going to be, as we all know, nothing really gets more inexpensive as time goes on. we invest millions of dollars in the software, in the technology. We have a big center that we rely on just to do your collections. That costs money, IT personnel, staff personnel. And so that is the purpose of this increase, is to pay and defray those costs that would normally be tacked on to your jurisdiction, because since you have a consolidated tax office, you kind of pay the tax office at the city of El Paso, to do your collections on a per parcel basis. And so essentially, the retroactive, or the effect this has in the increase is that the delinquent taxpayer is now burning more of that cost to have those systems in place, to have the procedure in place, to have the office specifically directed to your collections and be able to pay for them, essentially. So that is coming out of their pocket. This increase costs the city zero. So there's no cost to the city. And so that is really who you're looking at as to who this increase is going to affect.
Any questions, Ms. Villalobos?
What is the minimum payment or percentage that is charged as a penalty?
The minimum?
Minimum.
The minimum is where you are now at the 15%.
No, well, okay, got it.
Yes.
It's in a percentage.
Correct.
Yes, okay.
And it's based on quarterly? What-
Ms. Reyes?
I'm sorry. If they pay their delinquent taxes, I think at a certain amount, if they don't, then it goes to a different increment on the penalty?
That is
Up to a certain, what is the cap on that, 8% or not?
The penalties, it's a little bit complicated on the interest that keeps accruing, but every month, yes. If they get into the payment plan though, they are capped. If they get into the payment plan, they are capped at, I believe, 8% interest and no penalties. So if you make your payment plan, you're not paying any penalty.
And it's not considered delinquent?
Not considered delinquent, no ma'am.
So what we're doing is, right now, is we're trying to stay with people who pay their taxes on time to level them off without having to pay for this implementation and trying to collect versus those that are not paying theirs at all.
I could not have put it better, ma'am. Yes, exactly right.
Ms. Villalobos?
I'm getting back to my question.
Yes.
I meant on the payment plan, what is the minimum payment?
For- On the payment plans and there are different categories, because you obviously have people that have their business property, people that have their homestead property, and then people that own real estate, but it is not their homestead property. The biggest protection is gonna be obviously on your home. The law requires that you be afforded at least 12 months to pay on your taxes with the cap on the interest and no penalty. So that is the minimum, 12 months. However, the tax assessor, and she does this regularly because I'm the one that sends her the emails, can go up to 36 months. So if somebody is really struggling to make their tax payments, they can get up to 3 years to pay their taxes. But that is the maximum allotted by law. So you're looking between a year to 3.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. Well, we have a motion?
So maybe at 20%?
I would suggest to do 20% so that we can have I would do 20% for me. The reason why is because we could be across the board with all the other entities. Of course, you know, the UMC, I think it is,
Yes.
as the only one, but other than that, we'll be in compliance with everybody else. On top of that, you know, this will deter people that just don't want to pay, blatantly don't want to pay their taxes. That's the only one. We've heard how this implementation it won't cost anything to anybody. All it is that for those people that are blatantly abusing it, they will be punished accordingly. And this is all it is, just another more deterrent for them to stop doing that. So I would suggest a 20%, which is only 5% increase.
So I'll go ahead and let my motion stand.
Okay? Motion was made by Mr. Perez, seconded by
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos,
Yes.
María Reyes,
Yes.
and Alejandro Garcia.
Aye. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you all. You have a good evening.
Number 7, public hearing of ordinance rezoning of Lot 4, Block 1, William Meek subdivision at 11071 Socorro Road from a C1 light commercial to a C2 general commercial plus a conditional use permit for beer and wine. May I have a motion, please?
Motion
It's
to
a
approve.
public,
Oh,
it's a public
sorry.
hearing.
It's a public, sorry.
Yes.
Oh, no,
That's right.
sorry about that.
Gotta do a public first.
Sorry. Excuse me.
It's 6:30. Public comment is open. Anybody want to speak on this item? Quien quiera tener decir algo sobre este
Artículo.
agenda? No.
There's three public hearings. Or there's three, two more after this
Yeah.
one.
Just in case somebody. It is 6:31. Public hearing is now closed. Number 8, second reading and adoption of ordinance 413, rezoning of Lot 4, Block 1, William Meek subdivision at 11071 Socorro Road from a C1 light commercial to a C2 general commercial plus a conditional use permit for beer and wine.
All right, motion to approve.
I have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second?
Is there anything that you need to present or anything like that?
No.
No presentations.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos,
Yes.
María Reyes, Alejandro García.
Aye. Do you guys remember this one from last meeting? It was for a restaurant. Okay, just.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to see if, yes. Okay. Number 9, public hearing of ordinance 414, amendment to the City of Socorro Master Plan, rezoning of Track 4 C1K Block 3 Socorro Grant at 900 Horizon Boulevard from an A1 agricultural to a C2 general commercial for an auto, truck, and tractor trailer service business. The public hearing is now open. It is 6:32. Anyone?
Any speaker?
Do we have a speaker? Any speakers on this item? ¿Nadie quiere hablar? You may.
Hello, my name is Sandy Salcedo. This was the same ordinance that last month we came and they said that they passed it. So why did they bring it back? I don't understand. Why are they bringing it back? And it's the same 900 Horizon Boulevard. And the lawyer was here with the man that's going to make this land commercial. So, and he said that he wasn't going to sell tractor trailers. Now it says right here, tractor trailers. Yeah. I thought he said that he was only going to sell auto and truck, not tractor trailers. That area is not that big for all that. So I would like to know why they brought it back. If they grant.
But last time it was an introduction.
The last time that it was brought to council, it was an introduction. So once it's introduced, we still have to do the public hearing, and then it has to go through their vote to see if they do approve or not approve. So it's just the process. Correct.
So it was just, like she mentioned, it was just a formality. Anyone else? Nope. It is 6:35. Public hearing is now closed. Number 10, second reading and adoption of ordinance 414, amending of the City of Socorro Master Plan and rezoning of Track 4, C1K, Block 3, Socorro Grant at 900 Horizon Boulevard from a A1 agricultural to a C2 general commercial for an auto, truck, and tractor trailer sales business. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to speak to,
You need a motion first. Yeah, we would need a motion. So,
motion to deny. We don't have the information needed here. We had discussed some conditions, and they're not here. Not all of them are here.
okay, motion is made. Do I have a second?
Second.
You have a second?
Victor Perez?
Are we going to have a presentation or?
Yeah, is there anybody that signed up for this?
Rene, he wasn't signed up to speak.
He's not signed up to speak.
You all need to make a motion to.
Suspend the rules.
You're gonna make something on the ordinance for conditions.
Not all of them are.
Okay, excuse me? What?
He's not signed up to speak, so we need to suspend the rule. If you're gonna allow him to speak.
Yeah, in the public hearing, you had the ability to speak on this item.
Well,
That's why I was reading it so that you could have public comment. Since you did not sign up for this comment, you cannot speak on this issue.
I did sign up, but as far as I'm here, if there's any question.
You signed up on
For public comment.
public comment.
So then I cannot say anything at the moment?
You cannot say anything unless the council decides to waive the policy, but it's really up to them. And if they don't make the motion, then it won't happen. And that's why we have the form so that, and it states there, you know, what items do you want to speak on? So,
I'll go ahead and make the motion to suspend the rules only because it may have been some confusion.
okay. Do I have a second? We have a first.
Second. Victor Perez?
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos?
No.
María Reyes? And Alejandro Garcia?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Okay.
It's a tie.
Oh, it's a tie. No. And the reason why is because por la razón que no.
I can understand
No,
English.
oh, okay. The only reason why is because I've been saying it all along. A lot of people come here and they don't sign up, they get here late, and they know what time it is. I understand there is a confusion. I know there might be a confusion, and I understand that, but also we have rules and procedures, and I've always said I don't want to break them, so I have to stand by my vote, and that's why I say no. It's nothing against you, but I will say no to everybody because they know that they have to come and sign. If we have to change the way it is drawn up, I will certainly will take a look at that and let our staff know so that everybody will know more or less what you're signing for. Okay, so I'm sorry, I said no, and the vote is no. So you're not allowed to speak, sir. But we will understand that you were up here for that. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
So our motion is to deny. Victor Perez?
They would have to,
Yeah, but
waive the right.
he's,
Right, so. No, we can't. No, we can't, sorry.
And can I say something?
Yes.
And just for those that are involved in this, I need more transparency. There was supposed to be on here recommendations of a higher, rock wall or something like that. I need transparency before you guys bring this back here. I'm not sure about the tractor trailer. I think, the, lady that got up to speak is correct. That wasn't there or initially.
the conditions are there with the condition.
I need clarification for next time.
Let's go do the vote first. We'll do the vote first and then we can.
Well,
Okay.
we can ask staff
Yes.
for clarification.
It does have the conditions.
I'm
The
not talking
ordinance
about,
does state
I'm
the
not talking about
conditions.
this time around,
Okay, you're talking about,
past. Why we're here. There was, this zoning has been contemplated or changed along the way a couple of times. So it keeps changing to from one thing to another or adding something to it.
Okay, so just bear with me, guys. I think that we should table this, bring it back with the proper backup, whatever the council decided with the original stuff in it, bring it back to council, and then we will take it up again and look. And therefore, you can come up and sign for those items, and then you can speak, sir. But what we'll do is that if the council decides, we can postpone it, bring it back with the proper backup, and then we'll go from there, and then you'll have the opportunity, once, if it is postponed, it will be back, and then you have plenty of opportunity to present your case
industrial.
for the public and for the agenda,
No industrial.
okay?
So we're going to commercial.
Okay.
It's the industrial residential.
Motion is made to table by Ms. Reyes.
But there's a motion, there's a
Oh.
motion on the table.
Present, and then,
I have to do it?
yes.
Okay. I resent my original motion.
And you're gonna make a motion, Mr. Chair? To rescind the motion? Okay, she's
Yeah,
rescinding.
she resent her motion, and then she's gonna present the
So
motion.
you're second.
To
And
postpone
then
for
I think
the next
Villalobos
meeting.
will be second. And then I believe that Ms. Villalobos is
Second.
her second.
Victor Perez?
Aye.
Iván Colom Villalobos?
Yes.
María Reyes? Alejandro García?
Aye. I too. Number 11, public hearing of ordinance 415, amending of the City of Socorro Mini Code Division 2, Truck Route Section 42-99 to include a portion of Stockyard and Olive Reed Road. It is 6:43. Public hearing is now open. Anybody want to talk on this item? You may do so at this time. It is now 6:44. Public hearing is closed. Number 12. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 415, amending of the City of Socorro Mini Code, Division 2, Truck Route Section 42-99 to include a portion of Stockyard and Olive Reed Road.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any speakers?
No speakers.
No speakers? Nope. Okay.
Victor Perez?
Aye.
Ivan Colom
I'm
Villalobos?
sorry, I was gonna ask Mr. Martinez. This was drawn up by the law firm, correct? This ordinance? No?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Where's this coming from? From
Staff.
We looked at the ordinance, I guess.
Okay. Yes.
María Reyes? And Alejandro Garcia?
Aye. There's a typo on number 13, just saying. Discussion and action to authorize the city manager or her designee T negotiate a contract with the Public Finance Strategic LLC for the lease of up to 3 police vehicles, and that T was supposed to be 2.
Motion to approve for discussion?
Motion is made, second was Mr. Garcia. You ready, Reyes?
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, good evening. I'm Carlos Maldonado, your Chief of Police. Ladies and gentlemen, I had mentioned this in the previous meeting. This program was suggested to me by another Chief of Police out of the Atlanta, Georgia area. He's engaged in this program. He swears by it. He said it's an excellent program. He's using it. He also has a vehicle. It's a Ford Explorer that was purchased or leased through this program. And the program is essentially set up like this. We do a baseline analysis on traffic data. Could be in any particular area within the city. A baseline is established. We enter into the program with negotiating in terms of the contract and the lease and so forth. We implement the program with the vehicle through this program. We implement it for a 6-month period to target specifically those identified areas. We measure it for 6 months. We collect the data. After another 6-month period, still implementing the program. After a 1-year period, now we're collecting data. The whole idea here is to make a significant positive impact in keeping our roads safe. So that vehicle would be dedicated specifically for those troubled areas that are identified. Now, how the vehicle is paid is through the court system and the citations issued by that vehicle involved in the program. So a certain percentage, I believe it's $25 per citation, goes to the program. So the contracts go for 2 to 4 year period, and the vehicle is paid off based on that program. The whole idea, though, the whole objective is to make our roads safer. That's the whole objective. But at the end of the program, the vehicle is purchased, it goes back into the pool, and we either engage in another vehicle or we end the program. But that's essentially it in a nutshell. Ms. Rodarte, if you allow her to please proceed with at least exploring this and looking at the contract itself, we'll work with our attorneys to make sure that, of course, the city's best interest is represented. It's a startup program, but it's been validated by other participating organizations. I think it's something that we need to pursue.
Ms. Reyes has a question?
Chief Maldonado, I just have one question. Being that it's in South Carolina, they're located originally in South Carolina?
In Atlanta. The chief of police that I'm visiting with, he's out of Atlanta.
Okay, but it is there that
That's the company.
the company?
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Does South Carolina have a personal property tax?
I do not know. I don't know.
Well, that would affect what we would end up paying at the end of the year, because there's certain states that has a property tax that even with the vehicles, you end up having to pay
But we're a
additional.
tax exempt entity.
Excuse me?
We're a tax exempt entity.
Yes.
The city is. So we wouldn't pay taxes.
Yeah, we wouldn't be, if it was private, yes.
Okay.
But, Ms. Reyes, I mean, it's a good point, and I don't know. I am not an attorney. Our esteemed colleague, Mr. Martinez, and his wonderful law firm and his folks will certainly look at those issues just to make sure we're in compliance.
Ms. Villalobos has a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a cap off of the cost per unit?
We do not. The type of vehicle that is selected for the program is up to us. So we could look at some of the vehicles that have been looked at by other agencies, Tahoes, Chargers, Challengers, Monte Carlos, and these are vehicles that are used, again, for traffic enforcement. So they can enforce traffic laws in a very efficient manner.
Mr. Perez.
I guess the pricing would be dependent on the packages that you all select for the vehicle?
That is correct. And it'll be, again, we're gonna go off the contract, state contract. They're already established, so we'll establish the specs. We'll work with the gentleman from this company, Mr. Denzel, and again with legal, and we'll put together a contract for these vehicles.
Ms. Reyes.
You did mention it the last time that there was only two things, if I remember correctly, that were not in the packages that would be included in these vehicles?
Yes, and I'll have to go get to specifics, but the way that I understand it, the car radio and radar are not included, but there are vehicles we need to replace. So we'll take those radios and radar and we'll put them in our vehicles, and so we'll continue to use them.
Okay, good.
Okay, on the radar and the other?
Radio, the car radio.
Okay, the radar and radio, their life expectancy is going to be enough for these vehicles?
Yes, yes.
We did update them. We did update our system, I think, 2 years?
We did, and they're,
Yeah, we got the, what is current.
that is
Because
correct.
we were still analog, I believe, and
Correct.
yes, and
I will tell you, the radios themselves will outlast the life of the vehicle. Our vehicles, based on our use, you're probably looking at 3 years max before you begin to start replacing those vehicles.
Okay.
so we won't get a definite price, guys, until we let our staff
Do the research?
do the
Yes.
research when they reach and,
Yes.
yes, and they're gonna do the right procedures. They'll come and bring us back this item.
Okay.
So all we need is the motion was, the motion was already made. Motion to approve?
Yeah, motion was already made.
Motion to-
Yeah, we have a motion
We did a motion.
to approve. Victor Perez?
Aye.
Ivan Colom Villalobos?
Yes.
Maria Reyes?
Yes.
And Alejandro Garcia?
Aye. Come on for this one. Okay, you wanna make a motion? Okay.
I want to make a motion to go ahead and move number 14 to executive.
Second.
Motion is made.
If you're going to move it to executive, because we haven't posted it for executive, I would say the motion needs to say, cite the exemption that you're going to be executive for. Assuming that you receive legal advice, then I would suggest that. Although I do need to point out, if it's just to receive an update from the chief,
Then it doesn't.
that probably doesn't qualify as
Okay.
legal advice. Or
Okay.
legal consultation, that has to, by definition, it has to be done in open session.
All right. So it's
Okay, so but can, even if we don't know what he's going to tell us versus, and then we decide whether either you're going to advise us or not, is that correct?
In other words, if he was gonna say something that is pretty just for us, then you will say, "Psst, you can't." Right? That's
Well,
what she's saying.
That's my point. If the ability to go into executive session to consult, that's most relevant here is to consult with your attorneys, to get
Mhm.
legal advice. That doesn't include simply receiving information from the chief. So if the purpose of this item is simply to receive an update from the chief about information he's learned, it's got to be done in open session.
Okay.
Okay.
So then we just,
All right.
you have to rescind your motion?
Yeah, I rescind my motion.
Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, again, good evening. Carlos Maldonado, your Chief of Police. We simply wanted to place this item on the agenda just to let you know, and again, just to keep all of you informed. We haven't forgotten about this. It hasn't gone, away. I have visited with the Sheriff's Department. I have visited with the FBI. I'm not at liberty to discuss specifics, and I wouldn't do that because it's their investigation. I simply will say this. I have visited with them. I want to make sure that they at least follow up with this, and we're at their availability, and we're ready to serve in any capacity they deem appropriate. I have visited with them very recently, and I offered that again. So just to keep you posted, this hasn't just been slipped away. I am visiting with them on a frequent basis, and they are reviewing this.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Just for the public that did not know what number 14 is, it was an update on the investigation for Gloria M. Ramirez, Guillermo Madrid, Mary B. Garcia, and Jesus Gandara Jr. for engaging in illegal finance dealings with the city of Socorro. That's it in a nutshell. That's what number 14 was.
Okay. So there's no action on this. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Very informative. Number 15, discussion and action to approve archaeological investigation to continue process on the excavation of the Onion Field Retention Pond. We have a motion and we have a second by Mr. Perez. Please, you speak up on the.
Can't hear you.
Yes, you can hear it. You gotta.
Motion to approve.
And then seconded by Mr. Perez. So, my question is, didn't we already approve this before, or this is? Oh, yes, I remember now. Yes. I'm sorry, I thought, yes, but.
So good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Pretty much a little bit of background on this issue. As you all know, we did purchase the onion field to create it into a ponding area. Initially, since it is being 100% funded by the city of Socorro, we thought a lot of the federal requirements were not going to be required, including a lot of environmental studies. So as progress kept on going with this project, our engineers informed us that due to state regulations, we do need to commit certain studies, which include an archaeological, due to the reason that we are in a historical prone area. You know, our buildings are historical, we have the Socorro mission, and things of this nature happen in historical prone areas. That's one. We also have to, as a minimum, we have to provide a clean water report and an endangered species investigation. These are just, investigations that need to get done, and a lot of projects TEXA has to perform when we do roads. So this came back, and I asked the engineers to pretty much set up a background of the information to send out to several companies that perform these. Mind you, these are specialized services. Not every engineer's company does them. So we got 3 quotes, as you see in your backup. The first one is from Blanton Engineering Services. These engineering firm works closely directly with our engineering firm Down and Baum. And these were recommended by them. And these, they have the scope of the work. They have a lot of experience doing these type of investigations. And we negotiated a couple of services where the city would aid in helping do these researches to bring the prices down. And that their pricing became at $26,098 for the services, including all the site evaluations and reports that need to be submitted to the state.
And what they were quoting us was 35, and now they're quoting us 26.
26.
Ms. Reyes? Ms. Reyes?
We have one from Albuquerque, one from Albuquerque, and one from Dallas.
Yes, ma'am. Terracon is the second company that I was recommended by Down and Baum. They also do as well. I personally don't, we look for their experience. They haven't never worked with us, so I wouldn't be able to tell you up to what extent they have of experience in the region. And their price came down at $23,000 for the basic outline of what was given to them from the engineers. The last company, Lone Mountain, came down with a price of $2,900. According to the scope of these jobs, they all 3 got the same scopes. This, as you see, doesn't fit the range of pricing we've been getting.
Does that, in terms of reporting, does that mean that maybe they won't provide, because even, you still have, even with an archaeological dig, you still have to have a FONSI, what they call a finding of no significant
Yes, sir.
impact.
And as you see on the proposal, that's pretty much, I guess, an overhead cost, because if that's a negative find fee, meaning that let's say they do the 20 plus acres and they don't find anything. If they start finding things, different costs come up per site. So if we have 100 sites, then we end up adding up, and we might be that we don't get all that we need to keep on moving and producing what the state requires.
Okay, thank you.
On these, contractors or estimates, do we, the ones that are out of town, is the price already inclusive in what they're?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Price is inclusive from them getting themselves here, performing a job, and including all the required documents to the state agency, as well as we get our copies. Whether the findings be that they are archaeological findings or they're not. They have a time frame when they come and perform, and they have to submit to the state. These are all inclusive pricing.
And the one that Tenenbaum recommended?
Was Blanton. These are the ones that they work with all the time. This is my recommendation due to the fact that this is a company that works with them closely in these projects, and our sole purpose of this is to expedite this. This project should have been done already. Unfortunately, if monsoon season hit us again, we can't make it drag out longer than this because, as you all know, these are issues that might affect us in really big ways, and these are things that we need to keep on moving on. I mean, unfortunately, they're lengthy investigations, but anytime we can buy to be ready for next season, I think it's worth the investment.
And right now, the sense of urgency is if they don't find anything, we can start digging internally. But right now, we can't touch it because we don't know.
Yes.
So, that's why it's time pressing.
So pretty much they can come out here, they'll do the investigation, and they'll give us a rough draft. And they say, there's nothing there, I can start working. While they do all their process to put into the state.
And submit it to the state of Texas so they can give us permission
Just the
to
official
excavate.
notice.
Ms. Villalobos?
Yes, sir.
All three of them can do that?
Well, like I said, all the scope was given to all three. Due to the price range, I wouldn't be comfortable to recommending you getting the $2,900 one.
No, I would build up.
I mean, because the range
Not
is
for
too,
this type of
it's not a $500 difference. We're talking about $22,000 differences. And I mean, I know they're expensive investigations, but the last thing is we want to do that 2,900 one, end up finding 100 sites, and we end up spending more money and time for a service that we kind of need right now.
So, we don't want to take that chance, in other words? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am, I wouldn't recommend taking that chance.
But
And
it's a
that would
huge-
prolong the project.
As it is, we're behind schedule, almost 6 months.
I mean, you're supposing that that could happen, not that it will happen. If we went with this company, we could save a lot of money.
I mean,
and-
and those are only things that it will be up for you to decide, and I mean,
It just seems an unrealistic number
yes, ma'am.
for the type of study
Did you
that we're
guys-
requesting.
Did you guys review?
Yes, we sent out the same
Did
scope.
did you look at the reviews?
Yes, ma'am, and on that one, there are minimal projects that they have compared to Terracon, compared to, Blanton. The Blanton specializes in doing a lot of earthwork for bigger cities, ponding areas, things like that, so they have a main experience in this type of work. While as Lone Mountain had more, I guess, for real estate, when certain parts are historical, homes and things of that nature. So I mean, the difference on working.
So why bring it to us if they didn't have the experience that we need?
Hold on.
In order for you to make a decision.
Anybody else have any questions?
I mean, if we
Well, I'm
receive
not done.
information, it's our job to make sure that we bring it to you all. Because if we don't bring it to you all and you find out that we did receive this information, then at that point it becomes, why didn't we present it? We have to make sure that we present anything that we receive to
And-
you all in order for you to all to make a
And to add to that,
decision.
ma'am, this information was given out to a couple of, like, 5 or 6 companies, and these are the only 3 that contested.
So, Mr. Rosas,
Yes, sir.
I'm in the competitive world as well. I know that, there is some discrepancies here and there. I understand what it is about a bid process. I know all of that. I just signed a contract last week, so I'm very proud of myself. But nevertheless, there is a big difference in gap. And that is something to be worried about. I'm not in no shape or form disqualifying them or even, but you have to think about why is there such a big discrepancy in this. I understand a 5,000, even a 15,000, I'll still even look at that, maybe consider it, But when it's that dramatic, I mean, it's
But-
something that,
But they tell you in the letter that if they find things, then they start racking up the price.
right.
So they start piecemealing.
Yes, and that is what's more dangerous, because in my line of work, it's like we say, you know, we do a tear down, and we don't give, for that purpose, is that when you get you're gonna do an estimate, you say, look, and that's what it is, basically, is you need to look, it might be more than what initially everybody else has. So, it's something to consider, and I think it's something that, you guys have to think about that. Mr. Garcia?
Well, I wasn't finished.
Well, I know, but we only allow twice, and I've been letting you go on and go on, so,
I was not done. I didn't even get to the point where I was interrupted by you.
because you were asking, let me say something. Robert's Rules of Order states that you're only allowed two, okay?
I asked one question.
You asked them three, and you were gonna ask on the fourth, because you were continuing to
was no
ask and
question.
ask and ask. So therefore, I stopped you, because I also had a question, and now Mr. Garcia has another question, and now I'm gonna let him speak, because he also has a question. If you
No,
want
that's
to,
not what
you can
happened,
go
but go
after.
ahead, Mr. Garcia.
I know, I was gonna say that it's, you can leave it a gap open, because they might find something, and it comes up to 51,000. We sign a contract and you leave it open. It's an open contract.
And that's the issue, that it's an open spectrum. And the other ones, it's all inclusive, whether they find one site or they find 100. That's the price we're paying, and that's what the contract states.
And we're done.
So I mean, you have to see it as that. These are specialized services. Before Engineering doesn't do them. Brock and Bustillo doesn't do them. So I mean, there are other entities that were contacted, but not everybody has these type of archaeological specialists on site.
So Ms. Villalobos, followed by Ms. Reyes.
Yes, sir.
Before I ask my question, I'm gonna say, in every profession, you have people that charge a lot because there's a name brand, but the employees are the same. Some of those employees branch off and open up their own company, and they cut that middleman, and they can give you that special price. Do you think there's stuff there that is going to cost? Just give it to me straight.
Honestly, ma'am, I'm not an expert in this matter, so I wouldn't be able to.
Have we found anything here in Socorro that you could be concerned with?
I wouldn't be. Well, there's a property next to Bulldog, which is actually now this in their historic area. They found, I think, 3 bodies, a trash pit.
Near the Lesmo property.
Yeah, so, and those things are
Okay.
part of the history, so.
I get it, but we still have a lot of room for stuff like that. It would have cost just as much. Right now, we're jumping into the middle of the pool instead of on the shallow side. Thank you.
And it's correct, because if you look at this one, because if you don't find such sites, and then if we do a calculation of $600, the total fee will be $410 for up to 20 acres. After that, it multiplies as well. I mean, you don't know, and I don't know how we could stretch it, I don't know exactly how much it is.
And that's
what
kind of.
we're getting in return.
Yes, ma'am,
The-
and that's the thing,
contract.
because we don't have any parameters set on their proposal. I mean, if they said, okay, we're gonna do 20 acres and 100 sites, well, you get a better idea, but it says per site.
And-
Maybe one site is 4 by 4 feet by 4 feet, it might be 20 acres by 20 acres, I mean.
And the other thing is that, if they find something, then you know it's going to prolong.
More,
Even
because
more
then
so.
a lot of other regulations stay in place, we can't touch the sites, and then that becomes a whole nother issue.
Process all over again.
Okay, well, we had a good discussion. Do we have a motion?
How many acres do we have, and have we multiplied it, multiplied that?
There's 25 in total, but about 20.7 are gonna get excavated, because the rest are gonna be used for banking.
If you do the math, it's about $1,500 that we're just saying.
Do I have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a, we have a motion. Okay. Which one?
Yeah, you need to say.
The recommendation was Blanton.
Okay, was that your
Yes, ma'am.
recommendation?
Yes, ma'am.
You make a motion to approve, Terracon and the provider of the services?
Terra?
Or Blanton? Terracon or Blanton? Did you say Terracon?
Blanton.
Blanton.
I apologize. Here's, what do you say?
Recommendation.
Yeah, recommendation.
Second.
Yeah, I apologize.
Second by Mr. Perez.
Victor Pérez.
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
No.
María Reyes.
Yes.
And Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Number 16, discussion and action to approve a request to waive the event permit fee for the annual homecoming parade for the city of Socorro on September 7th, 2017.
Motion to
Motion to
approve.
approve. Motion to approve was three-way time, so,
Victor, seconded by,
okay.
the motion was made by Victor, seconded by Mrs. Reyes.
Okay.
Victor Pérez.
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
Yes.
María Reyes.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Number 17, discussion and action to award either Four Rivers Equipment or Wagner Cat for the purchase of a 2017 John Deere 410L backhoe with warranty and service contract in the amount of up to $125,844.02, or a 420 F2 four-wheel drive backhoe loader with a warranty and service contract in the amount of $122,094.18 for the Park and Public Works Department. May I have a motion?
Is there a preference by staff?
Mm.
Just a question.
Yeah, I know, but we need a motion. A motion?
Motion
to approve.
Motion to approve pending.
Pending.
Pending staff recommendation.
Okay.
Okay,
Second.
Good afternoon, council. So we went through the procurement process in getting the machinery bids as was approved for the capital budget. We decided to bring this as is because the point difference in these two machines were really close. The both machines are comparable. We took into account customer service, serviceability, part availability, and overall conditions of the machine. We've seen models of these machines. We took walk-arounds, and they're really comparable. It comes down to the price. Best value, obviously, the lower price one, because we're getting a competent machine. We know that Caterpillar will not just disappear out of thin air tomorrow. It is a name, recognized name brand, as well as John Deere. So that's why it was brought up as is for you to decide what is the best.
Sorry.
So
Yeah, and the same thing, Mr.
And
Perez?
I just want
So
you to
then-
point out in the summary, you can see the differences between the two
The specs.
machines,
Okay.
the specs.
Mr. Perez?
You know, the
But you
horsepower.
would feel comfortable with us going with Caterpillar?
Yes,
Mr.
Any
Mr.
other
Perez,
two?
can you repeat that on the microphone?
That if, oh, I thought it was volume.
No,
Can't hear
it was
you.
kind of.
That if you would feel comfortable going with Caterpillar as a
Yes, sir.
recommendation?
Either one of your decisions would suffice for what we needed at the yard.
All right, so I'll go ahead and make the motion to include the staff recommendation of Caterpillar.
Second.
Second?
Can I
Yes, sir.
interject something? We haven't identified which model and which amount relates to
Okay.
Caterpillar, although I think you can kind of find it. My recommendation would be to make it a little more explicit, so that you're saying, recommend
All right.
approving the purchase of the Caterpillar 420 F2 four-wheel drive in the amount of $122,094.18.
So I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the Caterpillar for, is it the 420F? Okay, the 420F, the purchase of the Caterpillar 420F2 four-wheel drive backhoe loader with warranty and service contract in the amount of $122,094.18 for the Parks and Public Works Department, excuse me.
So that is, just to be on the same page, that is the John Deere one?
No.
The oh, the Caterpillar? Okay, the Caterpillar, just to make sure, okay. Motion is made.
Victor Perez?
Aye.
Iván Villalobos?
Yes.
María Reyes? Yes. And Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Number 19, discussion and action to request for approval from the El Paso County Elections Department for the use of Chayo Apodaca Community Center for elections. Would I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
Second.
Mr. Perez, followed by Ms. Villalobos.
The Elections Department contacted us in order to use another site from the city. And they, we took them out to Chayo Apodaca. However, I do know that we have a couple of incidents that have happened when we're in our buildings with our employees.
Can
It
you
kind of
speak a
puts
little
them
bit
in
more?
I'm sorry? It puts our employees in a difficult situation. So before we consider accepting this location, I would want you to consider that is that every time that there's elections, it kind of disturbs the whole, political arena that's happening outside our buildings, plus our customers that are coming in and all of that.
So the day-to-day operations, basically. Okay.
Correct, and I recommend that if you do say that you want to use Chayo, that you don't open it up to the public for those days that we're gonna have
Oh, okay.
elections.
Perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
okay.
So I'll go ahead and amend my motion to approve the use of the child.
Mr. Perez, she had a question.
Oh, I apologize. No, no, it's
Yeah,
fine, that's fine.
she had a question.
Yes, we would open the building, let the election people go in there, but it would not be open to the public other than to just go and for them to place their ballot.
Okay.
Mr. Garcia?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay,
well,
so-
I mean,
There's no other place in the Mr. Chayo Apodaca Center?
well, Chambers, this is our early
Because,
election site.
We're gonna close the elections, the early elections or day of elections?
School district.
Because it's used for homework, it's used for computer use for students. So when we shut that down, their computer use, internet use gets shut down too. And do we have an alternative to that?
Well, Rio Vista does have computers.
Okay, so there's no other alternative to this, just this one building?
Correct, that's the site that they inquired about,
I'm sorry.
Okay,
and
Rio
probably
Vista?
the more feasible.
No, Rio Vista has computers?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's a great idea.
Where you were sitting, there's a couple of computers there.
I think it's a great idea to move it here so that our city functions will not be interrupted because of any type of election, which will be early voting or election day. I mean, this is something that, it could be dedicated, that's something that's good. I understand that we're talking about children, and they're gonna be affected, but I mean, it's either, them having a place to go or us, interrupting the day-to-day business of our city. And that's something that is kind of weird, and I understand if we can look for another place, but if that's the best thing that our staff recommends, I think we should
And
approve
this
that.
is an added polling place. Okay, we will still use, this Chambers is also set as early election.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
Okay, so let me go ahead
It's
and,
just kind of adding another building to,
let me go ahead and amend my motion to say that approve the use of the Chayo Apodaca Community Center for elections and to close down the center on those election days to the public and for use of election business only, activities only.
do I have a second? Second by Ms. Reyes. Do we
Victor
have any
Perez?
speakers?
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos?
Yes.
María Reyes? Yes. And Alejandro Garcia?
No.
Number 20, discussion and action to require all full-time newly hired employees to each pay 20% of their cost of health insurance benefits. May I have a motion? Any motion for discussion?
So for discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to require all current and, hold on.
Future.
All current and future, but the thing is that if we're looking only at future hires, I still have that concern about we have to
We
close.
don't have enough information.
Bruce Kaler, our labor attorney, stated that it's either you open up a gray area when you go that route, so it's either across the board. He doesn't recommend that we just apply it for the new employees coming in. And that is the reason why this item was postponed. The one for the employees was actually tabled until we brought the benefits back.
There's a couple of concerns, but, and I think, Mr. Pettis, you hit on it, to get down to the most obvious specific example, if you do that, you're gonna create a civil service issue, because civil service is defined by class, right? You certain positions. You're gonna have employees in the same class who are supposed to be paid the same amount, but they're not going to be, because one is paying more of their health insurance costs than the other. So you'd really have to redo the civil service ordinance, you'd have to redo that system, and rather than try to stand on our heads and make that work, I think it'd be cleaner just to say, look, instead of 20% for the new ones, it's 2% for everybody or 5% for everybody. It's problematic is the short version.
Okay, so then if we can just decide to just delete this item, and then we'll just tackle the employees in the later future, and at the same time, we can add across the board with that other
So you don't want to
agenda item. We can delete it because, like I said, Jim, if I'm correct, we can add, instead of just saying current employees, we could just say all current and future on the other one that we tabled.
Yeah, you postponed a separate
Yes.
related item.
Yes.
Yeah, and also the budget cycle is upon us, so.
Yes. So
You'll be able to do it the next.
All right,
we could
so
delete
let me
this.
go ahead and delete, motion to delete this item. And this is item number 20.
And therefore, we can tackle it on the other agenda item.
Victor Pérez.
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
Yes.
María Reyes. And Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Do we have anything for
No.
executive? Nope.
Monday. No, ma'am. No, sir. No, sir to you. No, ma'am to you. Sorry. I was looking at you and I said, no, ma'am, and I didn't.
No, ma'am, and no, sir.
So, can I? Second.
Okay.
Victor Pérez.
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
Yes.
María Reyes. And Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Motion to delete, motion to adjourn.
Victor Pérez.
Aye.
Iván Colón Villalobos.
Yes.
María Reyes. And Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
It is now 7:23. Meeting is adjourned.